Hello, hello. How's everybody? All I see is floodlights here, so I barely just got asked to present about 5 days ago, so hopefully you're going to get something valuable out of this. Does everybody hear me okay? So really, who's heard of Kizik here? Okay, great. Kizik is in our backyard. We're about half hour south from here. One of the things coming here to this event, I've had this experience going to the bathroom, and I'm sure we've all experienced these things going to the bathroom. You wash your hand, you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands, and you take your hands and you go 10, 15 feet away as you're dripping water all the way across the floor to dry your hands at paper towels or an air dryer. So in here, at this bathroom, it's like you wash your hands, the air dryer's right there. So these little things of experiences, this is the most obscure experience that I've seen, is when you're washing your hands and you dry it right there. How convenient is that that dryer is right there instead of being this monster that just walks across the floor to, they got water on their shoes, they got all these things. So I really want to hone in on redefining brand experiences through innovation. I can't see anything on the screen here. So I'm Blake Brown, I'm the VP of Brand at Kizik. Kizik is really focusing on a lot of interesting things. Is this screen on up here? Just so I don't turn my backs to you as I talk. Really, when you think about shoes haven't changed in thousands of years. And really looking at the space of footwear, we're really trying to revolutionize how people interact with shoes, how people experience shoes. We've created this technology and design that's really helping people think about shoes differently. Oh, you're good. Maybe I'll just wait a second for you. Thank you. Now you can see my face instead of my back as I talk. So really, for Kizik, we're really trying to create a technology that changes the function of shoes that will undoubtedly change future footwear. In fact, our technology is so good, we have over 200 patents. And the cool thing is a little story about Kizik, of where we're going.
A leisurely walk. A power walk. First walks, long walks, a dance, slow dance, dance like no one's watching. And guys, there are people watching. Move, move, move. Even if it's just inside your mind. You'll find that a body in motion stays in magic.
So with a revolutionary technology, we're really trying to find the cohesion as a brand going through these stages of acquiring awareness, telling people about the functionality, really selling the function of the shoe. And historically, as brands grow, you cannot always sell the function. It has to be a lot broader and bigger than just the product or the technology itself. So at Kizik, we're really looking at building an expansive world in 3 ways within our brand ecosystem. Is the product role, the brand role, and the cultural role. With the product role, we're really trying to get people to see life in a positive way. When you step into Kizik, it kind of propels you forward to really go, do, see, explore, and get the most out of life. With our brand role, we're really trying to remove barriers, bending time to your will, making effortless to do more things. And then the cultural role is kind of, as I mentioned, is how do we get a mindset about making the most out of every single moment, where time is an ally and motion is magic. So our platform, Motion is Magic, is really defined around a life well lived is a life well moved. Our shoes unlock the embodiment and a spirit of endless momentum. And when you're in motion, you're creating magic for your life. So really, I wanted to talk about this core thing about brand experiences. You know, brand experiences are kind of conceptualized as a sensation, feelings, cognitions, and behavioral responses invoked by brand-related stimuli that's part of a brand design, identity, packaging, communications, how you experience things. So historically, within a brand, within an ecosystem of a brand, you have internally and externally, you have these buckets of performance marketing. You have all these of how brands experience you through communication, through different channels, through in your store, in retail, and so there's so many different experiences. And so how do we really have this cohesion where all these experiences really speak to our purpose and our mission of motion is magic? And it's a hard thing that I think most marketers have a hard time with because it's a hard problem to solve, especially as you get bigger, as you expand. You're really trying to focus on not just selling shoes and selling product, but actually building something bigger than what the product is on its own. So really, historically, as Kizik has really looked at, when we first started, when I first saw or thought of the technology, I was like, wow, that's super interesting. I don't love the shoes, but I do love this idea of having something so innovative that hasn't really happened in 2,000 years. A lot of people buy shoes because of the brand, what the brand stands for, not necessarily the function. And so really, how do we create awareness for Kizik as we've gone through this, creating awareness? How do we get people to give reasons to believe? And then how do we facilitate a trial? And then how do we co-create opportunities for our consumer? The interesting thing is, as we've gone through this over the last couple years, as we've gone through this, we've seen more and more amazing stories that really encapsulate how people are, what change a technology, but also the brand really informs us of what we're going to be doing. There's this interesting notion, I think Steve Jobs actually came up with this kind of concept about a brand bank. Who has had a terrible experience with a brand in general? Could be a small thing, could be a big thing. I think the thing is with a lot of these brands is, you have a positive experience with a brand, you can deposit that money into that brand bank. You have a negative experience with that brand, you have a negative withdrawal from that brand bank. The better experiences you have, the larger the deposit. And the worse experience, the larger the withdrawal. Over time, a positive brand is the balance the bank pays interest from in repeat business and referrals. So really at Kizik, we've been primarily focusing on D2C channels, and now we've had this new platform we've been building, and now we're trying to get to this expanse of how do we get people to try on our product? How do we get people in a better way to say oh, this is interesting. I want to have a better experience to be able to see what Kizik's about. We opened our first store, which is about 15 minutes south from here. So if you're out of town, this is probably your best chance to go down to Fashion Place Mall to check out our store. The cool thing about most other brands is you come into the store, you pick a shoe, you sit down, you put on your shoes, and you're like, okay, do I like this? For us, it's how do we get people to really experience Kizik as a whole? how do we get people to really look at coming in the store? The first thing we want to do is say, hey, this is what Kizik is. Would you like to try a pair? Once they try on a pair, it kind of unlocks something really crazy. 75% of people, we have a 75% conversion rate around there, give or take, after people try on the shoe. And after they try on that shoe, they have this, I like this word called emotional resonance. And really, that's something really amazing. I think they immediately think of others. They have that experience. They step into the shoes, and they're like, wow, this would be great for my pregnant sister. This would be amazing for my mom who has MS or has Parkinson's or whatever. Or it's like, great, I hate taking off and all my shoes when I get into the house. So we always have these niche experience of thinking about others, and it's such a beautiful thing to see how much emotional resonance people actually have when they're experience Kizik for the first time. And really, we've kind of extended this through, we recently did a pop-up in New York, and to really showcase motion is magic, and so you get media and influencers to come to the event. And we really did this amazing event where we got people to come in and experience Kizik through this pop-up that we did that's currently still going on. So we did this beautiful event that we put together to get people to come in and try on shoes for the first time that couldn't before. So here's some pictures of it. And really wanted to give them an immersive experience about, life is made of motion. You don't need to know where you're headed. Just go across the street or across the world. Motion is magic. So we want to embody really the pursuit, not necessarily the function. The function is a catalyst for movement, to move forward, to get the most out of life. And it's an expansive idea that goes past the product itself.
Hi guys, so quick recap. We had the most exciting thing happen. Somebody was walking by, this gentleman, and he was peeking inside, and you could tell by her face that he was very curious. So he walks in, we welcome him, and we ask him, our question is always, are you familiar with Kizik? He's like, actually no, who are you guys? What's up? How does this work? So we found him his size in the Athens, and when he slipped his foot in, it was like his whole life changed, his eyes widened, and he was so excited to find something that was so easy to wear and that was attractive looking. Needless to say, he ended up getting 3 pairs for himself, and then he sat right over there for about an hour and a half. He called his mom, he called his dad, his grandma, his uncle, his aunt, and everybody got a pair of shoes. He shipped them out directly to their home, and he wrote a little note for them to see. And yeah, oh my gosh, he was so excited, and he wanted everyone to get a pair, so he ended up buying 10 pairs. How cool is that?
So it's cool stories like that really puts purpose around, especially for our internal team, to say like, wow, we're doing something special, not for ourselves. We're doing something special for a consumer. And it's so amazing to see that and be a part of that. And there's this word that we have within our platform called frictionless freedom. And the tie with this kind of talk is really about how as brands or brand builders, how do you make sure you're giving your consumers a frictionless experience? It's not an easy thing to do. When you look at brands like Delta, why do you fly Delta? Or why do you fly Southwest? Or why do you shop at Costco? Why do you do these things you do? A lot of it comes down to emotional resonance. So for me, when I was a kid, Costco used to be called Price Club. I grew up in Southern California. And I just remember having an experience there, be with my parents. It turned into an event for us. And currently, it's an event for my family. And it's those things that we kind of cherish. It's a little nostalgic, but at the same time, it means more than like getting a good deal, doing this or that. But for me, it's more of an emotional, I had such a great time with my parents because we turned into a thing. We had such a blast doing it. And yeah, it's just, you're buying in bulk. What's so exciting about that? But we turned it in, I'm the youngest of 7, so anything was exciting to me. And I think we all have these experiences of like, oh, if I go to Costco, I like it for this reason. I like because I can get chicken for $4.99. I love it because of the returns. We all know those people that buy a couch and then have that couch for a year and then return it. Or they have a Dyson vacuum for a year and you're like, well, it's time to upgrade. They will never know. But that's a part of how people react and really experience these brands and why they love them. So really creating experiences that get you remembered for the right reasons. I mean, this is the thing that I notice. Maybe I'm an oddball, and it's these little things like the bathroom experience. That's like so obscure. Where I'm like washing my hands and I dry them right here. And I'm thinking like, wow, I don't have to walk across the whole bathroom to dry my hands. This is amazing. I think about these things of like ubiquitous as a brand. How do all these things really help infuse into the purpose of why you exist? Because what a pain in the butt that would be if we at Kizik were selling shoes, you get your box. Why do we make, what if it was like encased in plastic? That's a terrible experience before they even had the chance to experience the step-in for themselves. So remembering for all the right reasons, how do you create experiences for your brand? Whether you're big, whether you're small, whether you're just starting out, really being myopic about how do you really look at all these touch points between your website or online or Amazon or in-store experiences or even how you react or build things together as a company. So there's other little things that I think we've all experienced as well. If you have an app or if you have an Apple, you probably experience, why the hell am I going to use this mouse when I want to use it and I forgot to charge it? So this goes back to the things of, and this is for you, Alex MacArthur. I did a little Arrested Development there. So really, that experience as an Apple lover, as an Apple fanboy, was that a positive deposit into the brand bank or a negative withdrawal? For me, it was a withdrawal. And I'm going to cause some controversy here. Who has seen the new Apple iPad commercial? Or if you've been on Twitter or LinkedIn or anywhere, you've heard the whole internet explode about this idea. And so when I first saw it, I saw it. I'm like, what's the big huff about? I'm not trying to beat on Apple with the previous slide and this slide, but what I'm really trying to do is how are we thinking about your brand? How are you thinking about people are going to perceive it? How are you thinking about all these microcosms within a brand to really invite people? So with this ad, if you haven't seen it yet, after this, go watch it. And I knew, from my point of view, this is also my experience, is, yeah, it was a negative withdrawal for me. Because as a creative, I said, man, you guys are squashing creativity. You guys are really missing the point. The ad was more about Apple than it was about me. And I think that's the connection I'm trying to make here. It's like, it's not about you. I have to remind myself about this. It's not about you, it's about your consumer. It's about the people you're trying to gravitate into your tribe. It's the people you're trying to get excited, trying to empower, trying to be the voice for. For us, it's within footwear. Once you step into Kizik's, you can just go, do, see, and look at time as an ally, not a reduction. So really, there's a few things here of Your mission, your purpose, your audience, your brand experience equals kind of that brand love. And for someone like Apple, who's been creating so much brand love and great experience over the years and years, so when they do have that, we all have those things where, like the iPad, where it's a negative withdrawal. They're gonna be okay. They're gonna live. They apologized for it. And I think they didn't have the intentions to hurt people. It's just how it was viewed was more about them than it was about the consumer or the people that use Apple products for creativity purposes. But the bigger you get, when those negative withdrawals happens, the harder it is to recoup that deposits and more deposits over time. So really going back to our purpose for a minute at Kizik is we spark the freedom to go. It says nothing about technology. It says nothing about specifically hands-free shoes. So sparking the freedom to go has these three roles. Our product role, we're sparking people to move. So when you have that step-in experience, when you step into our shoes, you're sparked, you feel empowered to move. You feel inspired to go. And then freedom, our brand role, removing barriers and bending the world to your will, making it effortless to do more, to get more out of life. So for me, I love playing with my kids. I have 3 girls. And it's such a great thing where I love capturing those moments where I don't have to put on my kids' shoes anymore, which is fabulous. So anybody that has little kids, what a nightmare it is putting on kids' shoes. But most of our shoes are right by the front door. And they can just, I can just pop in my shoes and let's go. We don't have to sit down, have tantrums, cry. It's these little microcosms that I enjoy. Of course, I'm biased, but at the same time, and it gives my kids independence. They get so feisty. Like, do you need help putting on your kids? Get off me, I can do it myself. And I'm like, okay, calm down, calm down. And then our cultural role here is a mindset about making the most out of every single moment, living in perpetual motion. Where time is an ally, as motion is magic, as I mentioned before. So brand experience really is like the impetus is in our DNA. It's hands-free, and our technology is a foundational pillar of how people experience us for the first time because it's such a differentiator where over the last 2,000 years, you're just buying shoes to protect your feet or look stylish or this looks good with my outfit. But for Kizik, we're really trying to reinvent the psychology of like, why do you have to bend down and tie your shoes? I can still look good, and I can still be stylish. So we have, with over our 200 patents, we're always thinking about this, where it's like, okay, we got this function down really pat. Now we got to make the shoes comfortable. We got to make the next shoe more stylish. We have to get more things of, thinking about, because historically, the way people buy shoes is style, comfort. That's how people buy it. And for us, it's like, it could still be convenience, style, comfort. You got the trifecta of what makes a great footwear great. So with this frictionless freedom idea is looking at all these touch points between our packaging, between these different experiences online is, our D2C box, or our current box right now. Historically, when I've bought shoes, it comes in like 2 or 3 boxes. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with all these boxes now? And this is not a revolutionary idea, but it was that idea of thinking about how are we going to provide the best experience for our end consumer? How do we make this as frictionless as possible? So when you buy a pair, they come to your house, all you have to do is this tear strip at the front. You just tear that open, and the box opens. Get your shoes. If you're like, oh, I want a different color, or I want a different size, we're not giving you 80 chores to do. It'd be like, okay, previously I've had to find another box. I've always had to find I have to find tape. I have to find all these items. It becomes a chore, and it's as a brand owner, you're thinking about like, let's make this easier. It doesn't cost us any more money. We actually don't have to spend as much money if we had our packaging inside multiple boxes, you know? So thinking about these experiences go a long way, and these are just some examples of like, thinking about how your checkout process is your site loading? Because I think we've all been to sites or places that were like, oh, I was interested in this product, but it took 5 seconds to load, so I bounced, I'm out. My attention is gone, I'm over this. I'm not, I don't care, I'm not interested anymore. So really, how do we really look at all these microcosms within external of how the consumer, but also internally? Like, how do we we got a few people from Kizik here. So how do we really remove that friction between how we're operating as a team, but also how are we making sure that we're always focusing on the end consumer, as we call the muse? And with our brand pyramid of thinking about who our muse is, our muse is kind of that North Star, that aspirational core consumer that drives our brand and our marketing. Our muse helps us dimensionalize an aspirational North Star beyond our current existing customer and create a brand image in the lives of our customers' desires and aspire to be, rather than the lives that they actually live. So we're really looking at these people that as our muse, they're embodiment of the people that go, do, see, use time as an ally. Not like, oh, I don't have time to do this, I'm not going to do it. So how do we turn this into a positive experience to get those people of our muse to really see us more than just a function? Because I know it's more than a function. I know it's an embodiment of sparking the freedom to move, go, do, explore. So with that is looking at all these different channels. It should be about who you're going after, why you're going after them, and thinking about looking at all these channels between e-com, your in-store experience, even how wholesale, how's other distributors, how are they presenting your brand? How are they communicating your brand? Are they doing it the right way? Are they doing it the wrong way? It's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. Our job is to get it right, not perfect. And I think we're really trying to find that experience, that fine line between let's get it as good as we can get it with the consumer in mind. Let's make sure they're always having positive deposits into the brand versus negative withdrawals. And as we've, that's the hard thing. The reason I said it's not perfect because we're human. We make mistakes. I make mistakes. If my wife was here, she'd probably be in the back saying, yeah, you make mistakes all the time. So really try to be authentic with your audience. If you're clear and transparent with them, your deposits will grow. Your consumer will appreciate it more than you know. And at a core, a brand experience strategy really is about manifesting its purpose, addressing customer expectations, and ultimately driving customer satisfaction. And a brand's ambition goes beyond making profits. It delves into what values it upholds and promises to aim to solve, and how it's contributing to society. So by clearly defining this purpose, you can set the right expectations for your customers. And you don't have to solve the world. Depending if you're like a small econ shop, you should be focusing on the product, learning from the product, talking to your customers. That's the thing that blows me away, is how a lot of brands are just shoving product without talking to the customer. Because the thing is, it's not about what you think. It's like, how are you experiencing this product? Is it solving this problem? Are you identifying with it? Is it making my life better? And is it making my life easier? So really, a lot of this seems a lot of complex and very nice to have. But if you don't have that foundation, if you don't have those roots of knowing where you're going, who you're going after, how you're going to get there, how are you going to communicate with them? So internally, we have this system, we call it the blue thread, where it kind of defines our pillars, our approach and communication, and where and how we're delivering them. So for Kizik, our purpose, to spark the freedom to go. Our values, we're driven by curiosity, experience, opportunities in the unknown, and simplifying complexities, and we're champions of industrious optimism. And our mission is empowering people to live a frictionless life, fueled by the freedom that motion that hands-free brings them. Our key insight, our customers at large are defining time as an enemy. Yet when we think of time as an ally, an expansive sense of freedom flows from there. So our technology is the spark, is the fuel to get that brand love, to share that experiences with the world. And our creative platform is Motion is Magic. And through all these foundational pieces, we're able to look at this editorial themes of like, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to talk about? Through how do our products enable motion? How does innovation elevates motion? How motion solves obstacles in people's way? How motion inspires life in the flow? And motion shapes our experiences of the world. So really, how does all these strategic things really pipe into social, organic, our e-com, retail, wholesale, to really be kind of that strategic through line to say, as a company, we're really bought in on this idea. And I think that's the important thing is like, how are you within your brand really going to provide value to say like, guys, we got to get on the same page here. It's not easy, trust me. It is not an easy thing to do. But if you want to sell a commodity, that's fine. Do you want to build a brand? Do you want to build $1 billion company? Or do you just want to sell a product? You have to realize as a team, or if it's just you, you have to figure out, what do I want to do? Do I want to build the next thing? Or do I just want to do a side hustle and sell things on Amazon? That's totally fine. But I think you have to be conscious about your intent and how you're going to do it. And then if you have a team of 2 or 200, you have to find a way to really like, let's all get on the same page between brand, marketing, distribution, logistics, customer service. Are we speaking the same way? Are we talking about the same things? Are we experiencing the same things that all of us are experiencing together? How we're talking to a customer, whether that's in the store, through a distributor partner in wholesale. So you have to think about all these little microcosms really help tell our brand story and really reaffirm our core purpose and why we're doing what we're doing. So going back to this, I just love how simple and concise this is. Emotional resonance at the speed of culture. So this is really comes down to our ability to tell stories that really connect with the audience's feelings, their values, their experience, that really also align with cultural moments. How are we really going to tie in the emotional things to our brand? How are we really going to help empower people to live a frictionless freedom of life? How are we going to help them empower themselves? I'm not talking about features of a product. That's a whole different thing. This is mostly about how, as a vehicle mechanism within footwear, within a brand, it's our job to really help connect the emotions and the product itself to really help amplify the consumer, not us. So I got a few minutes left, so I will leave it up to Q&A if anybody has questions or thoughts. If I can see anything. Yes.
Like, I think this sounds awesome. Like, how long did it take to develop that? Was it constantly evolving, or what's the process like? Because I came on board. I'm not sure when you came on board too.
Yeah, so I mean, we couldn't do this alone. Like at Kizik, we're like, we had to bring an agency partner in because we still have to build the business. We can't just leave the business and say, hey, we got to focus on this project. We got to build the business day to day, but we still have to build for the future. And that was the biggest struggle. It probably took us a year, a couple months to like fine tune who we were going to work with and why, because we're really particular about like how are we going to find the right partner. We're not just going to find a random person because this means so much to us and the ability of what we can do. So it takes time. It takes time. What was your other part of your question?
I'm just wondering, at what point did you bring in that agency? And then, like, was it something that you guys identified? It's like, hey, look, we need help with this, and how did you guys, I guess, come up with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first thing we do is like, we cannot do this by ourselves. We still got to launch products. We still got to do the day-to-day things. We still got to find, there's problems every other day. And so we kind of probably got the top 30 ad agencies. We knew we wanted someone that had a fashion background or has worked with fashion, or like not fashion, but in the fashion or apparel space. We knew certain things we wanted from these certain things. So we would meet with them. We would whittle it down from the 30 to the 20 to the 10 to the 5 to the top 3. And it was an amazing experience because all of them were dying to say, we want in on this. We see what you guys see. And it's one of those things that's it's difficult, but I think it's in practice it's a hard thing to do. I'm still recovering from it, to be honest. Yes.
What kind of tactics are you using to get people to buy your shoes online and go in store? I noticed that your conversion rate is really high if people try the shoes on, but just curious.
Oh my gosh. We are trying everything under the sun. I mean, we have a CRO team that we're always looking at, it depends on, first thing, how do we get them to the site? What top of funnel, what mid funnel, what lower funnel stuff are we doing to help get people interested in that journey? Because it'll probably take 6 to 8 touch points or ads or recalls to get them to be like, okay, I've seen this. I'm not, because people have to recognize 95% of consumers are not in market. It's only like a 5% of people that are in market for shoes, but hands-free shoes. So we're always looking at how are we going to get them to the site? We might offer them, hey, for first-time users, we'll give you 15% off, or hey, we'll give you free socks, or we're always trying to test what works, because we can make theories, assumptions, be like, hey, we think this will work, let's give it a try, see what sticks. So we're always in a constant state of testing and iterating and finding what works, what doesn't work. You can't just sit on your hands and say like, oh, I hope this works, because it's our only thing to do. There's so many little things depending on where you're at. So for us, it's like from advertising, like let's get them in the door. How do we pique interest? Let's get them to the site. Okay, once they're on the website, okay, now that they're interested in a product, how do we get them to be like, once they come to the product page, okay, we got them there. Now, how do we make sure they're educated and they know what they're buying and know when the shoes are coming? And then once they get to checkout, how do we make sure, this goes back to the whole frictionless thing. It's like each part of these steps have to be frictionless. And yeah, have we sometimes not done a great job? Obviously, we're trying to go super, super fast, but we're always trying to test, iterate, learn, improve to make sure people are having a great experience through that. But when people are going through the mall, shopping, we hit them, just like in advertising, you look at a funnel, you're like, how am I gonna spark some interest? We have a 6x10 screen in front of our stores that are showing shoes being stepped in. We're showing a lot of motion. We're showing videos, and people are walking by and like, oh, what's this? I've never seen this before. Okay, now they're down the funnel. Now they come into the store. Second thing, what do? How's the quickest thing we can get them to experience the product? And once they experience the product, it's a lot faster. So that's kind of like, it was kind of a long tail, but that's kind of our thoughts of like testing, iterating, trying, really making sure we're connecting with the whole buyer journey. I know I failed. Well, you're gonna have to try on a pair. Like I said, we're about 15 minutes south from here, so if you have time, If I would have brought in shoes, I would have gotten probably mugged and cornered and beat up. So.
What size are your shoes?
What's? Don't you have a pair, sir? I'm a size 12, thank you. So. Okay. Well.
What's your take on Skechers? I mean, probably popularizing the hands-free.
I can't hear you, sir. I'm kidding. I heard you. I was ignoring it.
They got all the money in the world to spend on advertising.
Yeah, we get this question a lot, and I'm not going to divulge like how it makes me feel, honestly. But it's really one of those things. When you have, imitation is the best form of flattery, right? So if you have a product out there and someone copies it, you're just like, what the hell? Skechers has more money. This person has more money to do things. But I think where the differentiation is brand. Who loves Skechers as a brand? Your dad? I want to talk to your dad. So it's really about how are you emotionally, how is Skechers really emotionally connecting with their consumers? They're making a product. They're trying to take what everyone else is doing, what's hot out there, and say like, we got to make a version of this. We want to stand out for what style, comfort, convenience can be for people that want to live and be a part of that tribe of motion is magic. And yeah, it's a hard thing to deal with. This is like, this is like a kick in the gut. And we do have those patents. We do have these things that protect us. And I'm not going to divulge this, but we're always looking at things that could be down the road. But it's like we want to focus on what we're great at right now. Because we could say, let's drop everything. Let's sue them all. It's like, no, that's not helpful. We still got to build a business. We should be focused on the consumer. We should be focused on our products. How do we make our products better? How do we make technologies better? How do we continue to be better? So let's look inward, because it's so easy to be cynical and say like, oh gosh, that person, we got to go after them. I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of saying, you're not doing this. We got to do this. We got to jump over there. But I think it's like, focus on what you do best, and what we do best will make it shine through with our consumers and who we're trying to bring into our tribe. Great question though, Andrew. Okay. Oh, yes. No, you're good.
Do you guys plan on making like a budget shoe at any point? Like
Define a budget shoe.
just a cheaper than like $100?
Are you talking like $15, 20, 30, 40? The thing about that is, I don't know if it's a Kizik brand. Maybe we do another brand that's more value driven. Because I think we have to be core to about who we are and what we're building. We don't want to build cheap products. We're really instilling, like, we're trying to incense this self of elevated motion is magic, premium materials. We want to make products that last and people love and they're comfortable. If we knock out all this cheap stuff, we're not going to have a brand. And so that's one of those things. It's the hard thing that's like, because that's questions that come up. It's like, oh, let's do a $50 shoe. Let's do a $40 shoe. It's like, yeah, we also have a business to run, but at the same time, it kind of goes against where Kizik is going. But maybe there's a different vertical. Maybe there's a side brand that's like, hey, you're still getting hands-free out there, but we're doing it a cheaper way. But currently, right now, we're not looking at that because it's easier to go a little higher and find that product market fluctuation instead of like starting low and say like, we're making no monies, we're burning through inventory, and because businesses still have to make money, but at the same time, we're still small, we're relatively still small compared to the whole footwear market. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, awesome, thank you.